The impact is mainly in the chemical sector in Europe, where because European demand outside of the chemical sector is flat to declining, Europe initially you wouldn't expect to be able to take a lot of new LPG from the United States as U.S. exports grew. However, Europe has a very high degree of feedstock flexibility in its chemical sector, in particular in its olefins crackers. And so what has happened is that as U.S. production and exports have grown and U.S. prices have become cheap, European crackers have begun to flex in more propane and butane in place of naphtha. And that has pushed overall demand in Europe, overall demand and overall import demand, quite a bit higher than it was historically. In 2018, Europe in total consumed about 14.4 million tons of LPG in the chemical sector. That's up significantly from the historical norm. And what has happened is that essentially now Europe has maxed out its capacity to flex in more propane and butane without derating its production capacity of propylene, ethylene, and propylene. We expect until there is new capacity added that total import demand and total consumption of LPG in the chemical sector will remain roughly at the same level as you saw in 2018. There are 4 projects in Europe that will expand Europe's ability to consume LPG in the chemical sector. Primarily, these are propane-based, and there are 3 propane dehydrogenation plants, or PDH plants, 2 in Antwerp and 1 in Poland, plus an ethane-based ethylene cracker that will come online later in the decade that will have some ability to flex in propane feedstock. The 2 in Antwerp, are 2 PDH plants in Antwerp, are being developed by Borealis and Ineos. And then Ineos is also building the cracker, also to be located in Antwerp. In Poland, the PDH plant is being developed by Grupa Azoty. All told, these 4 projects will add 2 million or a little bit more than 2 million tons to propane demand in Europe as a whole by the late 2020s. European production in the North Sea in particular, but also from Europe's refineries of LPG, is declining slightly faster than demand outside of the chemical sector is declining. And so because chemical sector demand for LPG is expected to remain high over the next 2 years and into the 2020s, the net impact of that slightly faster decline in production will be higher import demand for the region as a whole. In 2018, Europe imported about 13 million tons of LPG from outside of the region. By the mid to late 2020s, we expect that number to get up to about 15 to 20 million tons and stay roughly at that level until the mid-2030s. In the mid-2030s, we expect that global production growth will slow to the point at which there isn't as much need for LPG consumption in the petrochemical sector on a price-sensitive basis. And so net imports into Europe at that point will start to decline.